Okay, hello, you guys. We are back with another one. Today we are here to talk about New Music Friday. Let me out, let me tell y'all the way that I have my shit set up. Where I basically the whole premise of it was that I wanted to talk about new releases and kind of like really challenge myself to get out of my comfort zone. Because yeah, I just worry. I really do worry about all the amazing art that's being released in the world that I have no idea about because it's not an artist I would normally check out. So I've been doing my best to make these videos to kind of put my own taste out there and hopefully kind of platform and put on other people, convince you guys to try out new things and just in general just like discuss music. But it became really taxing. Like I took a video actually last Friday and I didn't even upload it. Like I was just having a lot of technical issues, but I really wasn't enjoying it because I was forcing myself to come on here and talk about bodies of work that I just simply did not like and I did not care about, all in the sake of all in the name of putting on other people or talking about black art, which is definitely is like absolutely um like paramount to me. But like I was just engaging with so much content I did not really like, and then coming on here trying to convince other people to go give it a shot. So I decided like I'm just going to pivot and specifically talk about what I find interesting and specifically talk about what I like. My goal is not necessarily to put you guys onto entire albums. It's not necessarily to review albums. It's literally to just talk about what I think is good as a very hard to please person. And so like it's actually been to the point where like I'm somebody who generally will religiously listen to music 12 a.m. on Friday, right? But it was getting to the point where it would be like Sunday, Monday, and I still had not listened to, new music for the week. It was just so unlike me because I was so overwhelmed by making it a hobby. But like I said, focusing on just what I like, I think is a little bit more healthy for me. I say all that to say A Pop by Tyla was released last night. And boy, oh boy, do we have a lot of opinions to get into. So I want to say this. In my prediction video for Tyla, initially, I had thought that it would not be super beloved in the eye of the public, right? But like this might be something that she really thinks is going to like eat the girls up and it's not going to do what she thinks it's going to do. There's a part of this to me where it kind of feels like whatever bar that she's setting for it, it's not going to meet that expectation. Especially if this is like, and I can honestly see this being popular in other countries or other territories like this. You know how sometimes, like for example, Kelly Rowland, she'll release something and it'll be like number one in UK and Australia and Denmark and things like that. But like in the US, it'll get paid complete dust. I honestly feel like it could be probably more popular in other countries of the world, but I just don't think it'll do well in America. Like in terms of like, in terms of charting, one thing I'm not gonna lie to you, especially because like the past 2 or so weeks, she's been doing a little bit more promotion for it, and a lot of people who initially listened to it were like, "Oh my god, this is so fucking amazing, guys!" I was like starting to feel a little bit nervous. I was like, "Should I backtrack my opinion?" Because like a lot of the people who are hearing it had really positive opinions on it, and I like Tyler. I actually really listened to a lot of her music. So I was like, ooh, I feel like I'm going to end up being wrong. The thing about it is I also took into account that a lot of the people who are listening, like going to these listening parties, there are stands of Tyler. So they are specifically going to listen to digest. They're going to support whatever that she puts out. So I was like, the very initial first reviews after the listening parties in like the middle of July were good. So I was like, okay, it's looking like I might be wrong about what I thought. Like this might underperform or people might not really like it like that. And then another one of my predictions, he asked me to revisit it, and then I still was getting a lot of the same energy that I felt the initial first time. So I was just like, okay. Listening to what her fans say. In my original video, I had actually worried that this would be seen as a step back for her in some ways, and they might see this as a little bit worse. Like I do think that she kind of had a couple of duds on there. I also feel like she's taking a lot of things into consideration, especially like the aesthetic. That was actually one of my biggest critiques of Tyler, that she's like selling this A-pop narrative, but like the cover, not really giving pop girl. A lot of the singles up until that point, not really giving pop girl. I think that she kind of took into account that like I really had to come across the right way. This is not just, oh, I'm doing it so people are gonna buy whatever I'm doing. I really have to play into my own narrative. I would definitely say that she definitely added some things to that track list that maybe didn't exist before that entire backlash. Like I do feel like the thing is, I think that this so I think this might be similar to some of our other stuff where it's a little bit of a sleeper hit or it takes a little bit of time for the GP to kind of get in tune. I don't know if this might even still be that people initially are still kind of like and then maybe 2 or 3 weeks later they're like, oh, this is so good, because it definitely seems like there's something slow to me and all of a sudden there's a fast pace kind of thing. To some extent I think it would definitely have to grow on the girls. And another thing is, at the end of the day, especially like dealing with this whole TBFS stuff, a lot of people, especially when it comes to Afrobeats, they just do not like that shit. They just don't like the fact that it's African. They do not like anything that's foreign, that's different to them. They think that it's Wakanda music and they just don't fuck with it. So I do think that there are a lot of people that is going to have to grow on. I don't necessarily know this is going to be the club hit that she thinks it's going to be. I think that there are definitely going to be at least 2 to 3 more hits off of these albums. This might be 2 to 3 more singles that she puts out, or like videos that she puts out. Hold on. Another thing I said in my first video on her is that Tyla is somebody who, if you were to ask me, I think that she's destined to have a lot of success outside of America. I just still don't know if the people here are really going to give her that much of a chance. I think it could be a highly successful album. I just really wonder if America's just going to be the place where people like it the least, even though this is the biggest audience and probably the one that she quote unquote needs to capture the most. I always say I don't really believe in African artists pandering to Americans. I don't give a fuck, because a lot of people, not only do they not get it, they don't want to get it, and that's really the fundamental issue. So it might even look like that as well, where it is highly successful, but maybe it's specifically America who's not getting it. Meanwhile, everywhere else, they're fucking going crazy over her. Because I see the success, but at the same time, I see it being like, eh. And I'm like, I don't know if that's, like, it's like, it just takes a minute for people to get it. Or it's like in specific places, you know, they're just like, girl, we do not want this shit. Whereas in other places, they're really loving her. And then one of my predictions actually in the video was that the album was going to leak, or there was just going to be something about it that might distract or take away from it. I also don't even know if there might be something that happens even this week where it might, I don't know, like, I don't know if she's like, it might, it was only 3 days till the album comes out. I don't know if there's a way that she could just give people just like a major ick, or she might do something wrong this week. This might even be behind the scenes where she's just doing shit that she's not supposed to do. I wonder if this might even be a leak, or there just might be some information, like people finding out something about her that makes them like, oh, like. So the album leaks on Thursday, and so honestly, as early as, at least on the East Coast, as early as like 12 p.m., people were like listening to it and like posting it. And the initial first reviews from the general public were really bad. Like it was mixed reviews, but a lot of it was leaning negative, right? And so I listened to a couple of the leaks. Let me not even lie. I listened to what I could find on the TL. I wasn't really like overly engaging or spreading them, but I did listen to them. Then the album comes out at 12, and I, like, my first listen through, I really thought it was like an 8.5, right? But the TL is still not fucking with her, you guys. Like, just throughout today, like, mind you, it's about 7 p.m. on Friday. Obviously, the album has dropped less than 24 hours ago. I probably have closer to 20 screenshots of people being like, this was just really fucking disappointing. When I was reviewing some of her other releases, especially this last release, Is It Love, before the album started, I was recapping it, right? And I was just like, my biggest fear at the time, right? And this is something I said in my prediction video. This is something that I said in my personal take on her music, like without all the spiritual stuff. I was just like, you guys, my biggest fear right now is that Tyla is going to try to sell us a pop album, and she's going to name it A-pop, and then she's going to come on and do something so R&B, and it's going to flop on its face. Okay, so Is It Love by Tyla, she just put it out, which is the first track off of her album. And oh my god, you guys, this is what I said when I did Tyla's personal. I had actually said this. I'm excited for her album because I would just like to see her musical evolution. Her music just sound a little bit different than it did in the very, very beginning of her career. But obviously, you just want to see what the progression is gonna look like. She's a little bit older at this point. But you know what it is, like I said with A-pop, I'm excited for this album because I want to know where she's gonna take the concept. What does it mean? What is Afro, like? Is it African pop? Is it Amapiano pop? Is it about the sound? Is it about making pop music? Is it about making African music pop music? Like, what exactly do you mean by A-pop? Is it an aesthetic? You know what I'm trying to say? Is it just an aesthetic? Because almost everything that she's released in terms of this album, like in terms of the singles, is R&B. It's very obviously R&B, and the album is called A-pop. So I'm like, you know, this is the kind of thing where, like, when you don't say something, um, you know, people just get to dropping stuff, and then the album comes out very similar to Lotto. The album comes out, and it's totally not what it was advertised as. And people are like, release day are like, oh, what is this? You know, just a little bit confused. And like, when I said it, I think it was like, why do you guys think you're critics? And why do you guys? And I was like, it's okay to engage with music critically because music is an experience for a lot of people. So it's okay to engage with music critically because, you know, when it's good, you want to be able to kind of dissect and enjoy an album from front to back. So of course you go into it with the highest hopes that it will kind of satisfy that, not just like the aesthetic part of it, but the intellectual part of it, the storytelling of it. You know, like I said, the full experience of music. And I'm just like, right now, it's not giving A-pop. Like, it's not giving A-pop. And what irritated the fuck out of me is when I posted that clip on TikTok, because one thing about Tyla, her fans engage. I had a lot of people coming at me, and they were like, R&B is pop music. Like, they're like, R&B is pop music. Pop is not a specific genre. Like, doing everything that they could to kind of weasel their way out of saying, I do not think that this album is going to the work is going to fit the narrative that she pushed. And another thing I was getting, I actually referenced this in that same exact video where someone was critiquing me. This is actually about Lotto's album, which I feared would have the same outcome. Tyla's album would have the same outcome, where because Lotto pushed such a strong narrative about her motherhood, about this being about self growth, and just like where she's at in her life, and she names it this big mama thing. And then you get on the album, and the entire album was about fucking and sucking the shit out your nigga. That's why it fell flat with a lot of people. Not even because, and Lotto's another one where I did not think that the body of work was bad, but because the narrative about it was so one way. When you tell us that, it's like telling us that this is going to be an album about chess, and then you have 15 songs about checkers, and you have one song about chess, and then you think that's enough just because you named it something that people should just kind of respect it. But I said, at the end of the day, I think that artists sometimes forget that this is like, don't get me wrong, everyone should be able to make what they want to make. Everyone is an adult. Do what you want to do. But like, promotions for albums come with narratives. They come with themes. Beyonce has never told us that she was going to do a specific kind of album and then not fit that into the narrative. Even though Cowboy Carter was a country album, Beyonce also did not even aggressively push this idea that it was country. She just says genres are a funny thing. We know that it's country centric, right? But she also puts herself in this place where it's clear that she's doing country, but she's like, this is my personal take on it. She's never confused her narrative with what she's delivered. Thematics go into albums so heavily. And I do think her fans coming in my comments like, it's African pop, you guys just don't understand it. Everyone understands it. And I also want to say this too. Tyla is a South African artist. And I don't know if I took a screenshot of this, but I saw a lot of people saying, this is very relevant and very accurate to our experience with pop as people in South Africa, which I will definitely not take away. I've never lived there, so I would not know the ins and outs of this. But at the end of the day, you cannot run away from, in America at least, you cannot run away from saying something is pop. Americans don't want to hear this whole pop is not a real genre. Americans don't want to hear that. And that is one of the biggest critiques that you see a lot of people saying. She told us that it's going to be a pop album. This album is very, 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 very R&B. I do think that it's relevant to Africa, and I do think that if you think about it in the context of African music, she's absolutely being experimental. Um, but when you label yourself pop and you don't really use strong EDM instrumentals, you can dance to a lot of this music, but it's not really, really dance music. Oh my God. I heard somebody describe Tyla's voice before as just R&B leaning. She has this gorgeous, gorgeous tone, but she just tends to sing in a very R&B kind of way. She does have some vaporwave, like, like stuff like house and vaporwave and things that can definitely kind of teeter between R&B and pop. I think that's where she, like, R&B pop is definitely her gig. But Tyla is really through and through an R&B girl, and at the end of the day, people can hide behind this idea of pop music isn't a genre. R&B can be pop. Not really. Like yes, but no. And I knew this. And mind you, I knew this. The Chanel video, I mentioned it. I was like, why the fuck is the Chanel video black and white for the most part? Is it love? I was like, why would you have that be the last single before the album comes out? Right. She did it again. A very slow R&B kind of dance hall mix, muted colors. Like, even from the cover, I was just like, Tyla through and through is an R&B girl. And I know that she wants to be a pop star, but like words kind of mean things. I think if she would have marketed this as a proper R&B album, I think that people would have respected it a lot more. I think that if you would have focused this as R&B, from that standpoint, I think people would have saw it as very experimental. When you say pop, especially to a Western audience, and then you're not having high, and like you have all these neon colors and stuff, and it's not this high energy EDM music. These are not Britney Spears songs, like Britney Spears tracks. Like a song like Hot Tops, don't get me wrong, if I'm expecting an EDM album, and like people are like trying to act like this, and listen to the thing, people are really trying to act like it was kind of absurd for people to expect high energy dance pop. When you see her, like these clips and these things that are meant to promote the album, she's using that one part of Kiss that is very high energy just for it to kind of mellow out a little bit. Like, it's no surprise why it was disappointing, especially to an audience that I've been said before. They already kind of bastardized and don't really understand or respect Afrobeats. You're coming through like this is really going to be strong African pop music, and a lot of it is leaning R&B. I'm like trying to make an objective opinion that's kind of separate from the ways that people are attacking her right now. And I'm like, you guys, I actually genuinely like the album. Like, I actually really liked it. I do think it's a strong 8.5. I think that it's really good. Like, I actually think it's very, very good. I just think that its own narrative betrays it. And I think I saw someone describe it the best, where it's like there's a lot of focus on the pop star part of it and not really a lot of focus on creating the sound that would make her kind of a revolutionary pop star. I think that she, for where she comes from, she is definitely very experimental and very, very different. But I do think in the greater landscape of music, especially in the West, Tyla just isn't doing anything that the people feel like they've never seen before. Like from an African, sure, right? And so I'm sure like in that context, she is very innovative. But like I said, this is just like you didn't come through and do anything that people feel like they haven't seen or is just so mind-blowing. Like I get both sides because I do like the music objectively. I just feel like the narrative is one thing and she did not really do justice to her own narrative, you know? And I'm like thinking back and I'm just thinking about certain interviews that she did where like they've asked her to explain it and she doesn't really have a super clear, like a super clear answer. It's more just like I like the title, I like the feeling of it. And I feel like that's the issue. This was more of a feeling. I don't know if I would necessarily disagree that I don't think this was more like this is better than her debut. I think this is better. One thing I will say is people are complaining about her lyricism, and if I've never said this before, let me say this now. Tyla is very much so an African Ariana Grande. Her lyrics are generally ABC 1 2 3. Not a lot of thought or sophistication going into the lyrics, and that's another thing in terms of narrative. It's not just like the whole A-pop thing. Tyla oftentimes doesn't really have a lot to say. The most like lyrically just like interesting song is like Hot Tubs, and even Hot Tubs really isn't like a super, it's really not even like a super like, it's kind of like Mr. Media, in which is kind of addressing the fact that people kind of misunderstand her, but like it is a very kind of like elementary way. Like it's, you can tell that it's meant to be just like a feel good kind of song, but even that is not something that you're just gonna go like like this energy of like shake that ass to my song or whatever. Like you can, but like this is really, it's like it's not super high energy. This is not, you might be like slow winding in the club to this. This is definitely not pop my butt, pop my butt. Like she's really talented at making music. I think she's very talented at making music. I just think that she's so worried about being popular that she's not really doing things that really make her stand out. You know, I don't think that she's that innovative. I think, like I said, I do think that relative to where she comes from, I do think that this is definitely a kind of a standout. I do think that it was, I like it's innovative compared to some of the one track mind kind of, I was talking about this the other day, the one track mind Nigeria rappers that we're kind of exposed to, right? But it's still not necessarily like this amazing pop album. Like when it comes to thematics and narrative, Tyler just isn't a genius. Like she's like she's not bad at making songs. I just don't think that she was really prepared for the fact that, especially going into this, it's not a bad album, but like you definitely had to come harder in terms of experimentation. Like I objectively think this is an 8.5. I think if you're looking at this and you're looking for a real pop album, this is definitely going to be somewhere like a 7. Like it's a, yeah, and that's another thing. Like we'll see how the Pitchfork review goes. It's just really hard to put it to put my finger on it because it's like I think that what it says that it's going to be is disappointing, but for what it is, if you just look at it for what it is, there's nothing to be left desired. Like I think it was an amazing body of work if you're just like, okay, well I like Tyler or I like African music, right? But if you're really sitting here thinking that you're gonna listen to the most, you know, if you're sitting here listening, thinking that you're gonna get like a toxic out of her, like yeah, if you, because that's kind of what it feels like she wanted it to be, and that's not what it is. I also had mentioned to some of our fans, like they had compared her to Beyonce, and I was saying like they thought that I was really misunderstanding or I was like taking offense to it when they had said that, oh, this is going to be experimental like Beyonce, and I was like, don't bring up Beyonce's name in this because you're gonna get that girl hurt, because if she puts something out and it's not as experimental or genre bending as Beyonce, you're gonna look like a fool for saying that. And they really thought that I was like a deranged Beyonce stan, and I was just like, you know, don't bring up Beyonce. But they don't understand that, because now when you see it playing out in the court of public opinion and people are like, that's fucked up, this is exactly why I said do not this is exactly why I said do not bring up Beyonce, because yeah, in general, like I think Tyler's sound is just very R&B. I think her aesthetic is very R&B. She likes the muted neutral. She's honestly on the more simplistic side. I just wish that she, like I said, has she kind of marketed this as an African like R&B album, I don't even know what exactly she would have named it differently as. I just think that had she said that this is going to be R&B and she kind of leaned into R&B with hints of color, I think that people would have enjoyed this a lot, a lot more. Some other really good new music that I enjoyed. I loved Nia Archive's Emotional Junglist. I think especially the second half of that album. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really like her upbeat pop takes. I think that she is definitely like a pop star. She definitely has this. She's very very British, right? She's very European with it. It's a lot of garage, a lot of like really bright, high tempo pop songs. But I do think she has this alternative look about her, and I do think that when she's kind of in her emo, kind of tortured space, I think I really like her music a lot more. I was actually very very surprised how much I like this. I reviewed her single with Georgia Smith and I didn't like it. I think it was kind of a nothing burger, but it was definitely a more high energy, more positive kind of pop song. I think when she's in her feelings, she sounds really really amazing. I really like. There's one specific song I really liked. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm gonna include it there. You guys need to go check that out. Also, Fix Your Face by Masego. I love Masego. That's cousin, right? I specifically off of this album, the song Hello. Oh my fucking god, you guys! Like, one thing about it, Buju Banton. I don't care how old he gets. One thing about Buju Banton, he's good. He's like Wizkid. He's gonna work the fuck out of a feature. It doesn't matter what you put him on. He's going to eat that bitch. Like that. Like he was on Party Girls by Victoria Monet. No shade. Completely saved and ate up the song. Ate it up, spit it back out. Hello is an amazing song. I'm sure that it's one of the favorites on the album too. It's really good. It's like one thing about me, I'm not gonna lie, I'm definitely very biased towards Afrobeats and dancehall. It just is what it is. I like something that you can pop that pussy to. Hello is such a good Hello is such a feel good song. Like I think that it's an amazing song. It's an amazing feature. Masego sounds like himself. It's definitely for those who like to have a good time. It's definitely something that you're gonna want to dance to in your home, in the clubs, everywhere that you go. Oh my god, Taffyland by Taffy. She's somebody who I feel like she like I don't think that she had prior experience to being a rapper. I think that she was just a dancer and she decided that she wanted to do music. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't totally know. Um I like this album because I feel like number one she's herself, but I also feel like she's meeting herself where she's at. I I don't think that Taffy is kind of faking emotional depth. I don't think that Taffy's out here telling you that she's going to give you 15 fucking bars. I think that Taffy is a girl who comes from the club, who knows what sounds and what feels good in the club. I like her because she feels very down to earth and very like real. Like she feels like herself to me. And that's something that I really appreciate about her. I think this is sexy. I think this is feel good. This is the kind of like I really like that entire project as someone who doesn't really like female rap. I think that if you're a bad bitch and you like to put on music when you go into the club, like in the car getting ready, I think that this is definitely one of those. Like that kissing and cuddling dance, I've been doing that for the past like 2 weeks. Okay, there are two releases that came out last night. I was actually very surprised that I liked so much. One of them was RX by Rico Nasty. Now, let me tell you guys, I've been listening to Rico Nasty for a very long time. I've been here since Hey Arnold. I'm pretty sure I've seen Rico Nasty perform in a club a really long time. The thing about Rico Nasty is that like she kind of find her peak around like Counting Up, and then she kind of just I don't want to say that she fell off, but like she definitely had a moment where a lot of people were looking at her, and then it kind of the hype did kind of dissipate, and I feel like if you know the DMV, I feel like Rico Nasty's sound is very DMV, but like there's a reason that that hasn't really touched the mainstream. It's a little bit weird and offbeat and a little bit off-putting, like, and this is coming from someone who has experience with the sound. I just do not like it like that. I'm not gonna lie, I do not like it. I always say on top of that, I'm not a really big fan of rap music, and the DMV outside of rap, there's not really even like a soundscape. Like there are people here who make music. Don't get me wrong, but there's not a real strong sonic soundscape. It's just like it's just a very underrated place in terms of sounds. And so I feel like she definitely got she's already a little bit weird and eclectic, but then she is very DMV. She's very from Maryland. And so I'm not gonna lie, for a really long time, I felt like you guys, Rico Nasty always looks amazing, but her music is just not that good. Like I don't feel like she was necessarily untalented. I just felt like it was just a little bit too weird and a little bit too off-putting, and that's why people weren't really biting. I was really surprised by how much I liked this. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna give it a try. And I actually really I liked a lot more, like 3 or 4 songs, a lot more than I assumed that I would like, because I've for the past literally like the past like 5 years, Rico Nasty, like I know exactly who she is, but she's just kind of been like over there. Like I was never going on my way for a Rico Nasty drop. I feel like a lot of this, especially the song Cupcake. But there are a couple more songs after that on the track list that like were real like sugar trap. Like I like when she uses like these like EDM beats, like stuff that even if she's gonna be herself and be a little bit weird and off putting, like sounds that people can kind of resonate with, I think would work a little bit better. And I love how sweet and like how on trend Cupcake feels. Like we're very much so in this like 2000s, early 2010s kind of space of like, it like this is nostalgia of liking that like hype, that kind of um escapist high energy, but at the same time kind of muted kind of effect. And this just feels like something that you would hear like a glitch beat or like a EDM. No, it's not EDM, but it definitely feels like a beat that you could definitely hear like of a smaller artist anywhere from like 2007 to like 2009. I really liked it. Like it was definitely this kind of the epitome of what sugar trap is, because a lot of her music to me at least has been really off-putting, and it's just like weird to the point where I just can't get jiggy with that shit, right? Like I think that you guys should really go check that out, especially as someone who doesn't really like Rico Nasty like that, who doesn't really like female rap like that. I really really enjoyed that. I was surprised at how much I actually liked it. The quality is always amazing. Like she definitely has taste. She always looks amazing. She's a tourist through and through. Also, Mavo business. You guys, I just listened to it because like there wasn't a lot going on the 24th. Honestly, it was a pretty good day to drop in terms of getting like listens and attention. You guys, I don't know if Mavo has another, like I don't know if this is his first album. Maybe it's just like my first being exposed to him, because he really only got popular within the last, it's been like a little bit less than a year since he like really really popped, right? I was surprised by how much I like this. You guys, like he actually, you know what it is? You know what I don't really like about rap music? It tends to not really be melodic, and I don't like that. I need my rap. I don't want fart beats. Like especially in the early 2020s, I was not resonating with a lot of stuff because it's so stripped and it's about the words. And to me, these people aren't saying shit, and I'm not gonna listen to that. I'm African to my core. I need melody. I need to feel something, and because Mavo is very like, he's very much so a rapper, even though he's Nigerian, he's very much so a rapper. I just went into this like I wasn't expecting much. I'm not gonna lie. I was gonna listen to it regardless, but I did not expect much. You guys, I actually really love this. I love the title track, which is I think the very first song on it. Like he feels rich, but he feels like kind of like a lover boy. Like I was actually surprised by how in tune with his feelings, at least he feels on this. Like this is definitely something that like I think men will definitely like him. He definitely has a very masculine thing about him, but this is something that I think that women will also really really like. And like it just kind of feels opulent and wealthy, and like someone who's not afraid of being in love. Like that's what I'm saying. I really wasn't expecting any sort of depth from him, and so to listen to it and be like, God damn, this is actually really good. I was gagging. Like I like that. I like a male artist who knows how to make women feel like their space there. Not just like, because don't get me wrong, women like Wahala, right? Like, like girls were definitely gagging to Escala Dizzy. So like, I don't want to act like, certain things are just for boys, but I do feel like this is something that men and women would like a lot. And I do feel like as someone who perceived his music as very masculine leaning and women just kind of like to cosplay that, I feel like this is something that is very like, it's sexy. Like I do think that this kind of reminds me of, not literally, but it reminds me of Aston Martin music and that energy of just feeling just so like laid back and chill and taken care of. It's just something about how he presents his feelings on this that feels so comfortable. Like he just feels like he's been here or he's gonna be here for a really long time. I was really impressed, you guys. I genuinely did not expect to like this as much as I did. I was like, wow. Like that to me is also another 8.5. Like he really can't, I was gonna say he can't do no wrong. I don't know that nigga like that, but I was definitely very, very pleasantly surprised by this. Anyways, I'm going to let go for now. Like I said, I'm really enjoying this. Only talking about what I like. There's a lot of other things on here that I'm not going to talk about. Like Flo Milli, Hot as a Big, chop. Ikeda Go. That's not a chop. I think I just don't get it. That's a very European song, and I don't get it. And I'm just going to leave that there. Oh, honorable mention. I will mention this. Ombre, I don't know if it's Peyote or Peyote. Um, it feels very country. It's very country R&B. It's less country than it is R&B, but it does have this very western, like western film thing to it. I think that is beautiful lesbian music. But this is also very stud music. Like I don't know, I liked it, but I don't necessarily like, it's not something that I would really really replay, but I do think it's an amazing body of work, especially if you're somebody who loves ombre and you just love evolution in R&B. It kind of feels like Cowboy Carter's younger stud sister. That's the best way to describe it. But yeah, anyways, I'm gonna leave this here. I'm definitely going to continue this. I cannot wait till next week. We have Odile, we have Davido, we have Molly, we have Natanya. Jay Stevens, Josh Levi. A lot of people who I think Davido not so much. Well, Davido and Molly not so much, but the other girls are definitely very, very interesting developments in pop and R&B. That I think all those people are a little bit, aside from those two, I think all of those people are a little bit underrated, and I love to see, especially people like that, like really build to their repertoire. And you never know when the next project could be the thing that really sends somebody through the roof. And I definitely hope for a lot of these artists that I mentioned that that's going to be something that just kind of skyrockets them. But we will see. And y'all will see me in the next one.